Welcome to 5678, a movie musical podcast, where two best friends, separated by geography but united in their love for musical theater, review and recap movie musicals. Each episode we will dissect a new movie musical, ranging from the 1930s all the way up to today, all the while giggling, snorting, and generally being absolute dunces. So powder those noses and tape down those boobs. We're about to start rolling.
5, 6, 7, 8.
There's no business like show business.
Maria.
Mamma mia, here I go again. My
Of the music of
Yesterday, I got toothpaste in my eye.
How? It was the first thing I saw when I woke up.
I knew that you would, and I hoped that it added a little bit of chaos to your day.
Oh.
So basically, whenever I was squeezing out the toothpaste onto the brush, I was holding it like this and was like sort of pulling it off to finish it, and the tines of the toothbrush catapulted a little tiny piece into my eye.
The menthol, it burns.
Oh, my eye was minty fresh.
So fresh, so clean. All right, let's dive into this bad boy, shall we?
Oh, man.
Oh.
What a witty sex farce comedy musical.
I loved this, first and foremost. But
Yeah.
first off, hello, dear listeners.
Hello.
Hello, intrepid heroes.
Poison detectives.
Welcome to 5678, a movie musical podcast. We are your chaotic co-hosts. I am Anna.
I am Grace.
And we are so happy you are joining us for episode 11, the 1982 film Victor Victoria.
What a joyous movie.
Now, you had seen this before.
I had seen this once before. Pretty sure I was in high school. So I remembered some key bits of it. So, like, her glass-shattering note. I remembered the cockroach bit. I remembered, but like the general gist of the plot, I had no memory of. So this was a delightful romp.
I enjoyed this so much. I am a huge fan of British humor, and I'm not going to say this is entirely British humor. Like, there's lovely slapstick in this. There's so many sex jokes.
So many sex jokes.
This was raunchier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Very much so. I had forgotten. I knew that there was going to be like some cross-dressing jokes and stuff like that because that's the plot, but also there were moments of women literally just holding their ass cheeks open. It was insane.
It was wild. I was like, why? But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
As we do.
1982, we get a lovely Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer lion, and we get the longest title sequence.
Oh my god. And it starts with some great accordion over title cards, which leads me to guess correctly that this takes place in Paris. So this takes place in Paris, 1934.
The longest title sequence ever fades us into Paris, 1934, a snowy intersection, and we zoom in through a window to the interior of a bedroom of an apartment.
We see a man asleep in bed, and then another man pops up behind him, and he gets up and gets dressed. It's a younger guy and an older guy. So the older guy wakes up and watches the young guy take money from his wallet. And again, there's going to be so many moments in which I just wrote down the lines because the witty one-liners were so funny. And I'll try and, like, censor myself to, like, only a few of them. So they have this, like, banter about, like, leaving him enough to buy breakfast and it's, like, not getting his money's worth. And turns out the older guy, his name is Toddy.
Like a hot toddy.
Yeah.
And the younger man's name is Richard. Richard leaves. We cut to exterior Paris. We see a cafe. Toddy walks out of a cafe down the street, and we hear the faint sounds of a woman singing.
Indeed.
Spoiler, is going to be Julie Andrews. Toddy enters a theater.
A nightclub.
And sits in the back, and he listens to an unseen woman, we don't see her yet, singing, and again, it's obviously Julie Andrews. But sitting in front of Toddy at a little cafe table in the theater is Mr. Labisse, and he is not impressed with this singing.
Nah. He's the owner of this club. The club is called Chez Louis. Julie Andrews is singing a song called Cherry Ripe. It is just very classic sounding soprano song.
Mm-hmm. But Mr. Labisse says he's looking for someone a little less legitimate, kind of hinting that her sound is too lovely and pure, and he wants something a little racier or whatever for his club. He tells her to stick to Carmen, and she quips back, "I am a coloratura, monsieur, not a mezzo."
I love that. That sort of like just musical clapback. Joyous. Loved it.
She leaves, but not before establishing a gag that's going to be repeated many times in this film, proving that she has like the most beautiful voice ever. She is a coloratura soprano. She hits a high note, and she shatters Labisse's wine glass.
And then, of course, the scene ends with a fabulous quip where Labisse is like, "What in the hell was that?" And Toddy's like, "That was a B flat."
Julie Andrews walks sad down the street in the snow. We don't know her name. Do we know her name yet?
No, we don't get it until later when she introduces at the restaurant.
Okay.
There's some very sad violin playing in the background.
She passes a cafe and she watches a man eat a very creamy eclair. Clearly, she's watching, she's hungry. She probably hasn't eaten in a couple of days.
This is the messiest eater.
This is ASMR and I do not like it.
It's not great.
It is wet and
gross. And like he has like cream on his nose. Like it's ugh.
And it just like keeps zooming in, and it keeps cutting back between her looking in the window and the camera gets closer and closer to this man's mouth. Then we cut back to the window and she's gone. She's fainted.
Yeah. She's fainted. So people help her up and she keeps walking. She gets to a hotel where she's staying, and the guy at the desk sees her and runs into the back room to tell his boss that she's back.
Wait, really quick. She is shuffling down the streets of Paris, so waif-like, so fragile. It is snowing. She has a fucking umbrella in her hands. Why isn't she using it? She's like clutching it for dear life.
I didn't notice!
Stupid. Anyway.
The manager of the hotel runs after her, and he's obviously like just been in the middle of dinner because he has like the napkin stuffed into his neck and stuff. He tells her that she's 2 weeks late on rent, and she's very distracted by the food on his napkin. She literally like runs her finger across it and tries it and asks, "Oh, is it spaghetti?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's spaghetti with meatballs." And so she offers to sleep with him for a meatball and then promptly faints again.
They have this thing where he kind of carries her half inside, and he thinks she's trying to go back on her word by pretending to faint so she doesn't have to sleep with him. And she goes, "No, I didn't faint. I would never pretend to faint." But she's so weak. He tosses her onto the bed and then makes to undo his trouser, and he's like, "I'm gonna have sex with you regardless." Awful.
He's like, "Yeah, this will be a way to pay back your 2 weeks." And I'm like, ugh.
Very, very ick. Very uncomfortable. And we're like 5 minutes into this movie. She spies a cockroach on her pillow on the bed and freaks out, like pushes off the bed, crashes into him. They both fall to the floor. He leaves.
But he takes her luggage.
So she can't sneak out in the middle of the night without paying.
Right. And then he leaves muttering in French. There's a lot of just like muttering, swearing in French in this movie, and I enjoyed every moment of it.
2 things. 1, did you watch this with subtitles?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. Because that's going to come up later. 2, you cannot tell me this manager does not sound like Mole from Atlantis.
Correct. Good. I'm so glad. Now it's just in my head.
Muttering and French.
So she slumps into the corner, and we cut to Toddy performing at the club. He's singing a song called Gay Paris. He's obviously so comfortable just like bantering with an audience and chatting with the audience, and
he's a great performer.
He's a really good performer and makes the song his own, so it's not just him singing. It's really phenomenal. So through the audience, we see a lot of people in drag, and it's clear that this is a place where everyone is very comfortable to be themselves and to express themselves. We also see, while he's performing, the guy from this morning, the young guy, walks in with
Richard!
2 women next to him. Richard!
Richard is the worst. Richard fucking sucks.
Yes. But he walks in and he's super rude, just like talking over his song and like demanding a table with these 2 other women.
Toddy comes over to Richard once he's sitting at his table, and clearly Toddy knows some of the people that Richard is with and doesn't like them, and they exchange some taunts, and then Toddy starts a fight.
Yep. It's so great. He offends a couple of the people, and one of the women literally falls out of her chair in anger. It was great physical comedy.
We erupt in a fight, but then we cut to a restaurant. Do we know her name yet? Julie Andrews?
No.
I'm just gonna say Julie Andrews' character's name is Victoria.
Yeah.
We see Victoria come into a restaurant, and she sits down and she looks at the menu. Now, we already know she has no money, so unclear where this is going to go.
Exactly. Now, back to Chez Louis, and everyone is being arrested.
It is amazing.
So it's really funny, because the club owner comes out with, a bloody head, blood all over his face, and just says, but no one was seriously hurt.
Big, 'tis only a flesh wound energy.
That's very, very much. Cop says that's why we're only closing you for a week. So inside the club, it's in full disarray. Chairs are broken, tables are gone, glass is everywhere. The club owner fires Toddy and says if he ever comes back, he'll be thrown out. And he's like, don't make that sound like such a threat. Cut to the restaurant.
Toddy walks past the restaurant and he sees Victoria eating at the restaurant, and he recognizes her from earlier. And he comes inside and introduces himself to her. But before this, I need to talk about
this
the
waiter.
Oh, this unnamed waiter has the funniest arc of this entire movie.
He's my favorite. He's one of my favorite characters.
Victoria has sat down. She's ordered wine. She's essentially ordering 2 of everything. She is going to town.
Yep.
And this waiter, I can't even remember any of the quips, but he is just the most sarcastic French waiter.
Oh, it's so good.
And a lot of his stuff is nonverbal, slapstick
body language, and it's great. So Toddy comes over and tells her that he was there for her audition at Chez Louis, and that she has a lovely voice, and he's sorry that he can't buy her dinner. She asks why he's sorry, and he says that he's cassé, broke. She introduces herself as Victoria, so this is the first time we know who she is.
There we go.
There we go. She invites him to join her. And, they have this great conversation. He thought that she was at the end of her rope. She admits that she is also broke, but invites him to have dinner anyway because she has a plan. She has a cockroach in her purse.
The cockroach from the hotel room.
She caught it.
Oh, God. And her plan is she's going to stick the cockroach into her salad when the waiter brings out her salad, and she's going to raise a fuss when she sees it and get out of paying. So she's like, Toddy, orders food for yourself, we'll put it on my tab that I'm not going to pay. The waiter brings out the salad. She, when the waiter's not looking and no one's looking, she turns her purse upside down and she shakes it so the cockroach falls out, but it doesn't fall out.
And right at that moment, the waiter comes back and is like, how is your salad?
It's it's great.
It's fine, it's great, I haven't tried it yet. What? And then right at that moment, the cockroach crawls out of her bag onto her hand, and she fully screams and upends the table.
Yeah, she stands up, she cartwheels back,
knocks over some other food.
Waiters go flying.
And so the waiter is like, I made this salad myself, there was no cockroach. And Toddy says, I want to see the manager. And the manager comes over, and in very French ways, it's just like, I'm very sorry. You know what I'm going to do about this? I'm going to apologize, and that's all I'm going to do. There's only been 2 other times that this has ever happened, and shockingly enough, both times it turned out that the customer put the bug in their own food.
So Victoria, Toddy, and the manager go back and forth. Meanwhile, the cockroach has climbed up the leg of another patron. When she feels it on her leg, she stands up and screams, and oh, okay, this is my first moment of joy. We cut to outside the restaurant, across the street from the restaurant. It has all these windows, and we just see pandemonium in this restaurant. People standing on chairs, people grabbing people, dishes and napkins going everywhere, and we faintly hear it.
Faintly hear screams in the background.
Napkins and bread rolls are going everywhere, and during the chaos, we see Toddy and Victoria escape. It's raining also.
So Toddy drags Victoria off to his place, and so they're trying to warm up. They're both wrapped in blankets and have boiled water to put into the tub, because it's 1934, and are sitting with their feet in hot water, and they're drinking cognac or whiskey or something like that.
Now, I want to take 2 seconds to say this is the first of a couple times this is going to happen where I really liked the camera work in this, where instead of like tracking the characters, the camera was static and the characters just moved in it. Like most of the conversation happened off screen in a room we couldn't see, and we could just hear their voices as they have a conversation and they get to know each other more. Yeah. And they'll come through the shot every now and then to like get more water to boil.
It felt like a play.
Yeah, I really liked that.
Yeah, I did too.
And it happens a couple times. Anyway, Toddy and Victoria get to know each other. She says she wants to ask him a question, and he says, "Are you going to ask if I'm a homosexual?" She says, "No, that's not what I was going to ask. I was going to ask if you're a hypochondriac," because Toddy's going on about how he's convinced he's going to get a cold from being out in the rain. Really nice development scene.
Yeah, and there's a lot of these moments where heterosexual people ask the homosexual people in the movie how long they have been homosexual, and every single time the response is, well, how long have you been straight, or some equivalent of that, where, you know, she asks Toddy how long he has been gay, and he responds, well, how long have you been a soprano? There's just all of these one-liner quips, and it happens a lot in this movie, and it's just such a great response. I loved it every time.
Yeah. Victoria says she's gonna go and try to sneak back into her hotel so she can get away with not paying her bill. She goes off screen, and then we hear her go, "Oh my God." And Toddy comes around the corner, and it turns out that her dress that she was wearing shrunk in the rain. It was her very best dress, and the coat that she was wearing has completely fallen apart, and she breaks down crying.
Yeah, I would too. So Toddy hugs her, and he says, "You know what, tomorrow I'll go to your hotel, I'll pay the bill, and I'll get your clothes back." And he's like, and she says, "No, I can't let you do that." He's like, "Listen, this is the rainy day that I saved my francs for. So you're going to stay here. Here's a nightgown. Here's a toothbrush. And we'll figure out how she's going to pay him back tomorrow. In the meantime, come to bed." And at first she is shocked. And he's like, "Listen, you can take the sofa, but the bed is comfier and infinitely safer."
Cut to the next morning. We see Richard pulling up in a taxi with like a black eye and a busted nose and a bloody shirt, clearly like still fucked up from the fight the night before at Shalee.
Yeah, he just got out of jail probably.
Pulls up to Toddy's apartment and he goes upstairs. Meanwhile, Toddy is upstairs. He gave her a check so she can pay her hotel bill. So she's gonna go do it. She'll be back for lunch, and she has no clothes, so she's dressed in Richard's clothes, complete with a tie.
She looks great.
She looks great.
Oh my God.
And just then, they hear Richard come into the apartment, so Victoria hides in the armoire, and Richard comes in and he's nasty to Toddy. He says, "I'm just here to pick up my things." Toddy says that Richard owes him money, and he says, "I don't owe you anything."
Yeah.
And then he opens the armoire door, and wham! Victoria punches him in the face.
Punch!
He falls backwards. She yanks him by the hair, and she kicks him out the door, saying, "And don't come back." But right before this, she had said that she grew up with like 4 brothers or something. So the idea that she can handle herself is very much implied. And as this happens, Toddy has a light bulb
idea.
And he gets this idea. He says in 6 weeks she'll be the toast of Paris, and they'll both be very rich.
Yes. Now this moment has big Shakespeare vibes of, I'm just going to throw on a page boy hat and everyone will think I'm a boy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. We cut to the bathroom, and Toddy is cutting Victoria's short hair even shorter, and he kind of like lays out the game plan of what they're going to do.
So they put together the backstory where basically Victoria's going to pose as Victor, Count Grzyński, so a Polish count who was disowned from his family for being gay. They met, Toddy and Victor met in Warsaw, fell in love, and now Toddy has brought him back to Paris. And that's the whole backstory.
And that Victor speaks very little English.
Yes.
So Toddy does all the negotiations. And Toddy's plan is they're going to go meet with Andre Cassel. Andre is like the biggest agent for the vaudeville club scene in Paris. And then we get one of my favorite scenes. They go to Andre Cassel's office, and his receptionist says that Andre is not available because it's Wednesday and he gets his hair cut every Wednesday. So,
which, first off, every Wednesday? Anyway.
Maybe it's like a shave.
That would make more sense to me.
A little trim. But so they decide to wait, and as they sit down like in comes another man who wants to meet with Andre Cassel. He introduces himself. His name is Leclou, and he is the world's greatest equilibrist, which I didn't know what that was, but we're gonna find out very soon.
Oh man, I knew by the end of this scene.
The receptionist says, Mr. Cassel is not available. You can't see him, and he goes, huh. He's very French. He was like, oh, well, fine. If I cannot perform for Mr. Cassel, I will perform for you. And he pours a glass of champagne to the lady.
From a bottle that he just had under his arm.
Yep. It's Paris. Everyone has champagne.
Champagne and a baguette.
The two major food groups. He gets onto her desk, and she comes around the desk, and she's like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? He then, like, equilibrist meaning like he's a gymnast, essentially.
Yeah.
He puts his cane on the champagne bottle, and he uses his
Yes.
other hand on the receptionist's head
It was
to
so funny.
balance.
Yeah, so he goes up into a handstand.
Yeah. Balanced on a cane on top of a champagne bottle and this poor receptionist woman's head.
Yeah.
And in this absolute chaos, Toddy and Victoria as Victor slip into Cassell's office, and we hear an off-screen scene of like, oh, Toddy, what are you doing here?
Basically, Toddy introduces Victor as Count Grzinski and says that he's the best female impersonator, and Castle asks for a demonstration, and you hear Victoria in a lowered tone voice, which she uses whenever she is Victor, and says, yes, of course, and then hits her high note, and the champagne bottle that the guy is balancing on shatters, and he falls and crashes through a table. It is very funny.
Very before that, the poor receptionist, he like takes his hand off of the receptionist's head, so he's balancing on just one hand, and she like scurries into the office to go get Cassell, and once the impersonator is alone, the bottle shatters from the high note, and he fully flips over and just destroys a table.
Bless that stuntman.
Very akin to Kate destroys a tavern.
Yes. I love that this is a theme that is recurrent. Just...
And you know what's also going to be a recurring theme? Gangsters.
Yeah, it is.
Gangsters
And
in
goons.
this movie. And goons. Oh,
So
this
pleased.
movie had everything.
It was so perfect. So we cut to a club performance. It's like sort of a classic Moulin Rouge can sort of dancing with the floofy skirts and showing the
Showgirls,
underwear, that sort of thing. And it turns out Castle is played by John Rhys Davies. Very young John Rhys Davies, but it was very exciting to see him.
Yeah.
So Castle says that with his connections and the Count's voice, they will all get very rich. And Toddy says that they can open in 6 weeks.
Yeah, they need 6 weeks of rehearsal for the act.
Cut to rehearsal. It seems to be going well. Victor is sort of getting into his groove, and Victoria is getting into her groove of being Victor. And cut to Toddy's apartment. Victoria is practicing on the piano, and Toddy keeps telling her to sing slightly lower and change the key.
Yeah. Cut to opening night. Victoria is in her dressing room, very fairly freaking out.
Yep.
And Andre Cassel comes in, and he announced that everyone showed up except for a Chicago gangster named King Marchand.
Yes.
Marchand, whatever. So curtain comes up, and Victoria comes out as Victor to very ominous French brass. Victor performs the song Le Jazz Hot. This song there is a headdress and tassels and like some phenomenal ensemble jazz dancers.
Yes. While this is happening, we see a guy enter, a fancy man enter with, like, I called her Marilyn until she introduced herself because that's the sort of blonde that she was.
Yeah.
And a goon. And I was very excited. I wrote goon in all caps because it was our first goon. We get to know this goon a lot. He's the best. This goon has big crunk energy. Like, just lovable.
The people that just snuck in, the fancy man is going to be King Marchand, our gangster. The blonde girl, her name is Norma. Yeah. Maybe that's where you got Marilyn Monroe, because Norma Jean.
Probably, yeah.
And the bodyguard's name is Bernstein, but goes by Squash, which I loved.
So funny.
And they watch the show, and King is smitten of Victor as Victoria, like the act of Victoria.
Of Victoria, yes.
And he's convinced Victoria is a woman.
Yes. Now, there's a great tap break in the middle of this, by the way.
Yeah.
And there's a kick line. Everyone loves a kick line. And she ends with her high note. Victoria comes forward and bows. Everyone loves her, especially King.
Except
blonde Norma isn't into this because she's noticed that King has eyes for Victoria. And then Victoria takes off her headdress, to reveal the short hair, to prove that she is actually Victor.
And there's even more bravas, and the audience
Mhm.
is like, oh my goodness, even more! And the blonde woman, Norma, is thrilled.
She literally yells, "Yay!"
And we see a shot of King Marshal looking just stupefied, like,
Crestfallen.
this has been a man the whole time. I can't believe that. Bamboozled. We see a crowd after the show, and Norma, blonde Norma, is pushing her way through the crowd with King Marshal. Oh god, very much like, this young boy needs to meet the next president of the United States. I just thought of that. Victor is now in his tux and is talking to an audience member, and Norma comes around and taps Victor on the shoulder, introduces herself and King shakes Victor's hand, and they have like a weird handshake.
Yeah, it wasn't clear.
Unclear. I didn't know what that was
going
about.
on there. So Castle comes over and asks what King thought, and King says, I don't think Victor is a man. And Toddy then leaves to go and mingle with Norma, and their dynamic is hilarious.
God, I love
Norma has Adelaide vibes.
Oh, big Adelaide vibes.
Yeah. And then Castle leaves Victor alone because Castle goes to get King a drink, and poor Victor is just stuck there just like, oh no. And then they have this great conversation. I wrote down a bunch of their back and forth. It's like, King says, I find it hard to believe that you're a man. And Victor responds, because you found me attractive as a woman. And it's like, well, yes. And Victor says, you are preoccupied with stereotypes. You are one kind of man, and I am another. And King asks, well, what kind of man are you? And he responds, one that doesn't have to prove it to myself or anyone. I fucking loved this conversation. And then Victor just walks away. Ugh.
This is a good script.
Yeah.
This is a good script.
Do you want to talk about the scene between Norma and Toddy?
It's very brief. Norma's just heartbroken to discover that Toddy is gay. She's just like, what? You're so handsome. That's what she sounds like. I'm not making fun of her. That's her voice.
That's her voice.
Norma leaves with King. Victoria finds Toddy, and she's like, never leave me alone like that again. Sorry, Victor finds Toddy and is like, never leave me alone like that again. Toddy asks what Victor thought of King Marchand, and Victor... it's just the two of them now, so Victoria's voice comes through a little more, where she's not pitching down and trying to seem more masculine, and she says...
Yeah.
She says that she thought King Marchand was an arrogant, opinionated pain in the ass. Toddy says, I could fall in love with him, and Victoria says, me too.
Me too.
Andre gives Toddy and Victoria, still dressed as Victor, a lift to the hotel, and Victoria's kind of like, hotel, what? Cut to Norma, King, and Squash are arriving at their hotel, because they're American. I don't think we said that.
Yeah, they're from Chicago. Of course, because they're gangsters in the 30s. They must be from Chicago.
They get it up to their room. It's a 2-bedroom suite with like a lounge area in the middle. So Squash, we learn, is the bodyguard and is in one room, and then Norma and King are in the other room. And Norma is just going on and on and on about how she thinks it's funny that King thought that Victor was a woman.
But she just, like, keeps going on about it. Norma says, I knew that Victoria was a man right away. A woman knows these things.
She's annoying.
She's so obnoxious. And, she says that it's weird that Squash is staying in the same suite as them. I mean, what if he comes in when we're making love? And King has the best response. It's like, he'd only do that if he heard something weird, like me getting excited.
Simultaneously, Toddy and Victor pull up to the same hotel that King and Co. are staying in.
Yes.
They go up to a fancy hotel room. Toddy and Victor have a small scene about how they're going to stay in this hotel.
In this very lovely suite.
Yeah, and they kind of like toast to the success of the evening. Cut back to King and Co. Norma is eating chocolates in bed. King hasn't come to bed yet. He's sitting by the fire in like the main space, brooding and being heteronormative. And then... gasp! The window of his suite, it's like an interior courtyard situation where his building looks directly across to the other wing of the hotel, and he can see through a window of another hotel room. He can see Victor and Toddy embracing.
And Victor gives Toddy a quick peck on the lips. Then Norma comes out in a slinky nightgown and a murdered my husband robe. And she's like, she's like, I'm horny. And so King just turns over, looks at her, picks her up over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes, and carries her into the bedroom. Cut to Victoria and Toddy, and this is Victoria now, in bed, drunk and singing. And the upstairs neighbor pounds on the floor because they're drunk and singing. And
Shut up.
Toddy then dares her to hit a high C.
And Victoria admits to Toddy that she finds King attractive and she wouldn't mind having an affair with him.
Mm-hmm.
Smash cut back to Norma and King in bed. King looks glum post-sex. We find out that King couldn't
perform.
Get an erection. And once again, Norma can't let it go. She gives to me like it's no big deal. It happens to a lot of guys. You know, some women have to fake it, but I've never had to fake it with you.
You know, like a liar.
And King gets up out of bed, goes to the bathroom, and gets a bar of soap.
This was the moment that I was just alarmed.
Yeah, and then we cut to Norma like opening the door to the main room, screaming, frothing at the mouth because King washed her mouth out with soap.
Oh my god. She starts throwing vases. Squash tries to calm her down, but she pulls a spear out of the corner.
Yeah.
Because you know how hotels just have, like, decorative weaponry around?
They close the door on her and she skewers the door.
It's wild. And so King blames Squash for coming up with the idea to bring her to Paris and tells him to send her home. Cut to the train station with the wildest scene where Norma is just like
oh my God.
angrily muttering and saying, no one gets to treat me like this and this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
I loved this scene because of the camera work. So Squash is kind of chaperoning Norma along a train platform, and again Norma's just like, he can't treat me like this. No one treats Norma, Miss Cassidy's little Goyle, like this. And Squash puts her onto the train, and as he walks back, Norma is walking along the hallway of the train, and we can see through the windows that she's still talking to herself.
Yeah, she's still angrily ranting.
Muttering. And then she walks the length of the train as Squash is walking on the platform. She opens the door to, like, the end of the train, and she yells at Squash.
You ain't seen the last of me yet.
And she lifts her dress up.
I thought she just opened her coat.
Shapewear. Oh, that was it. She opened her coat, but she's exposing, like, all her shapewear and underwear. And a random passerby completely falls onto the tracks as a result.
Just so distracted.
Cut back to the club. Victoria as Victoria is performing the song The Shady Dame from Seville.
I loved this song.
King is there, he's in the audience, and he can't stop staring.
Yes, he's trying to confirm his suspicion. He's not sure. The audience loves it, and then at the very end, Victor removes his wig at the end, and the audience cheers more, and King leaves.
There's also some really great just dancing in this number. There's
the
a whole ensemble
so
of men as matadors.
Yeah.
Cut back to the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
King walks in through the door with Squash.
Squash does the funniest joke.
I don't remember it. What was it?
Basically, because Squash checks out both rooms before King goes into him because he's the bodyguard. And so he goes into King's bedroom and is like, oh, hi, Norma. And King fully flinches. And then Goon just walks out and King's like, oh, ha, ha, ha.
But before that, when they're walking into the hotel, King gives a note. He says, I have a note for Count Krasinski. And he gives it to the concierge. He learns the hotel room, which is not allowed. You're not supposed to tell the concierge tells King Victor's hotel room, and you're not supposed to do that.
No.
We come back to this because King, once Squash has gone to bed, King sneaks out into the inner room. He calls for housekeeping. He impersonates Toddy. He's like, this is Mr. Todd from room 432, and we need more towels sent up. He then leaves his room, hangs out in the hallway, and he watches the housekeeping bring towels into Victor and Toddy's room. He stops the door from closing all the way, like by sticking his room key in it, and he sneaks in and he hides in the room while the maid leaves. So King is now inside Toddy and Victoria's hotel room. Oh, but then Squash comes out into the inner room and sees across the courtyard. He sees
because
King
they can see into the thing.
And King waves at him.
This whole scene, Anna, was just peak farce. It's like, it should have been a play. It was so perfect. So Squash sees him over there. He's like in his PJs and he's like, well, my boss is over there. I gotta go protect him. He's off being dumb.
I'm a bad bodyguard if I don't go over there.
He ends up going around to try and sneak into the room too. He comes in and picks the lock and gets into the room just as soon as Victor and Toddy come up the elevator and enter their room. So all 4 of these people are in this room and 2 of them are actively hiding.
We don't know where King is hiding yet, but Squash decides the best thing to do is go out the balcony window and like hide on the balcony in the snow.
Poor Squash. Team Squash.
Oh, justice for Squash.
Now, throughout this entire thing, we know that King is hiding somewhere, and he's trying to confirm that Victoria is a woman. So throughout all of this, since they think that they are alone, Victoria is now herself. But there's a lot of like fun, witty banter between her and Toddy about her being a man, and so nothing is revealed at this point. So King is still unsure whether or not his suspicion is correct or not.
Right. A lot of this King can only hear.
Right.
We don't know where he's hiding yet, but he doesn't have a good visual, so all he's hearing is the dialogue, and the dialogue doesn't say anything incriminating. So he's not really sure until Victoria comes into the bathroom, and we learn that King is hiding in the bathroom armoire.
Like
it's got a couple
closet
doors.
Or something? Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a couple doors, so he's hiding in one compartment. Victoria opens the compartment to get a towel, but she doesn't find him. And he watches through the crack in the armoire as she gets undressed for her bath with her back to him. And we then cut to his face, and we see his face change as he has no doubt seen her naked and confirmed his suspicions. But we don't see that. We just see his face change.
We just see his response, and we hear her getting into the tub. So we can assume.
Yes. Squash tries to sneak back into the room, but he can't get past Toddy.
Yep. Victoria is shampooing her hair, and at that moment, while she has suds in her eyes, King sneaks out of the bathroom and crawls on his hands and knees to try and get past Toddy, who's reading a newspaper in bed. King then gets back to his room and looks out the window and sees Squash on the other balcony.
And Squash is like, how did you get there?
How did
you
you
were
do
supposed
that?
to be in here. Squash is ultimately able to escape once Toddy turns out the light. He hides under the bed really quickly when neither of them are looking, and then he also bear crawls out of the hotel room. Cut to Chicago. This is the only time we leave Paris. We didn't know this before, but Norma is also a performer. She is in Chicago performing for... At first I thought the crowd wasn't feeling it, but I think they're just dumbstruck.
Dumbstruck by the wild hypersexualization of this song?
Yeah, so all the Paris stages are very opulent, very colorful, and whatever venue this is in Chicago is very dark.
Feels like a black
no
box.
Colors. Feels... It feels like a black box. And Norma is on a hot pink little number. It is a racy dance. There was a lot of hip thrusting. At one point, she and the other girls bend over and spread their butt cheeks with their hands.
Yep.
And there is one gangster in particular watching her perform named Sal. And he has a cigar in his mouth, and he is so slack-jawed by watching this. That cigar is gonna fall out any
man,
second.
it is just holding on by spit and hope.
Norma finishes the song. She goes and sits with Sal. She thanks him for coming by, and she immediately bursts into tears. And Sal asks her what's wrong, and she says that King has shacked up with another guy.
And Sal is like, run that by me again, and she immediately stops crying and starts explaining.
Oh, yeah. Cut to France. The scene takes place in Victoria's dressing room. Andre Cassell appears. Victoria is dressed as Victor now.
Yes.
Cassell does not know that Victor as Victoria is actually Victoria.
Yes.
And he delivers the news that King Marchand has offered Victor a fortune to have Victor perform at his club.
Yes, in Chicago.
But more importantly, wants to have dinner with Victor tonight after this show in Paris.
Money.
Grace is raising a finger at me.
He
Great.
offers $10,000 a week, which would be wild in now money. Do you know what that was?
But in 1932. It was 10 grand for, was it 10 weeks?
10 grand a week for 10 weeks.
Great. Do some math for me. What is it?
10 grand is over $200,000 today. So for 10
Amazing.
weeks, she would be making almost over $2 million.
Get it.
Fuck me up.
Get that dough.
Let's go.
So and cut to dinner. I would go to dinner with King Marchand if I was gonna get
Hell yeah,
that.
you're gonna pay me $2 million? Let's go.
So
Give me that
King,
mustache.
Victor, Toddy, and Andre are all at dinner, and they are toasting to Victor's future performances in Chicago.
Yes.
And Toddy makes an observation that Squash is sitting at a different table from King. And he's like, why is your bodyguard so far away? And King makes a comment about, like, he has a better view of the room that way. Yeah,
firing
yeah.
angles, and yeah.
Then this is the moment where Toddy, like, makes another comment. Like, he's like, oh, yes, that makes sense for, like, X, Y, and Z military stuff. And King's like, oh, you must have been in the army. And Toddy says, once or twice.
So Toddy decides that he's going to go over and sit with Squash because he looks very lonely. King then turns to Victor and asks, what do you see in Toddy? This is another one of those, like, back and forths that I just wrote down a bunch of, where it's like, would you believe that we were in love? And it's like, no. It's because being gay is a sin. And he says, who says that? And it's like, the church and terrified heterosexuals. And I laughed. It was great. This banter is too much for Castle, and he leaves to wash his hands.
Cut to Chez Louis. They go to Chez
Yes.
Louis, not where Victor has been performing. And the audience kind of just like, oh, it's Victor, it's Victor. You like hear
Victor's
the
here.
audience react. Victor's here. And then they are sat immediately, and the waiter that comes over to serve them is the waiter from the restaurant.
Oh my god, I was so
I
happy to see
love-
him again.
It's like, it's you!
Now, Victor recognizes this waiter and immediately tries to cover his face because
Oh my
he's
God.
worried that the waiter will recognize him as Victoria because of this huge kerfuffle that happened.
I guess it's just a hard time in Paris for waiters right now. Like, I guess he just needs a second job
Well,
or
I
something.
wonder if that restaurant got shut down.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Several moments during the scene that we see just cuts to the waiter of him, like, trying to figure out how he knows
looks
these
familiar. The club owner goes in front of the crowd and says he's honored to have Victor here tonight and asks him to perform. So Toddy grabs Victor and drags him up there. And this is the cutest number.
It's so cute.
It was the most adorable thing because it's a song that they both know, but it's obvious that they haven't rehearsed this, and it is choreographed within the movie to look like they haven't rehearsed it. And, you know, they're going one way and going the other, and they're bantering with each other and bantering with the audience, and it is a delight.
It's great. I love
Pure
it. The
joy.
song is called You and Me. But just then, fucking Richard shows up again, and they're talking, and the maitre d's like, shut up, Victor's performing. And he's like, I don't care if it's,
No coward!
And they cross in front of the stage, and Toddy, like, immediately
Yes.
knows Richard's there, because Richard is loud. But they cross in front of them performing, and Toddy uses Victor's foot to trip Richard into a table with a glorious crash.
Oh man, it was beautiful. And another fight breaks out. This poor club owner, just his entire thing is ruined because Toddy keeps starting fights with the same person.
And everyone Richard is with, like, immediately attacks Toddy and Victor. This is the moment that I cared whether you were watching with subtitles, because the band starts to play the Marseillaise.
Something like that,
Is that
yeah.
how you say it? Yeah, which is just like the song of the French Revolution, I'm pretty sure. It was just such a funny, and I never would have known
Yeah.
it had I not watched this with
Exactly. So
subtitles.
this huge fight breaks out. Richard recognizes Victor from that first morning where Victor punched him from in the closet.
He punched
And
him.
so Victor just punches him again. And King comes up behind Victor, does a big protect, but Victor just turns around and decks King across the face and knocks him over, then realizes it's him. Squash helps Toddy throw a woman onto a piano. It's wild.
The police
Mhm.
arrive. King and Victor manage to escape.
But in the middle of this, in the middle of all of the kerfuffle, the waiter finally has the light bulb moment and is like, cockroach! Right as King and Victoria run off. It's so funny.
Thank you, you're right. And they're like running around, and like a policeman is chasing them, and a policeman catches them, and King gives a policeman like a handful of money, and as the policeman takes it, King clocks the policeman. He falls to the ground, he takes the money back, and he and Victor run away. They get away from the police, they have a moment
They
alone.
laugh, the
They
mood
look
changes.
at each other. Big harp
Oh, yeah.
glissando. And King says, I don't care if you're a man. And he
Woo!
kisses Victor.
Then Victor says, I'm not a man. And King says, I still don't care. And they kiss
kisses
again.
him again.
So poor Squash and Toddy get arrested with the waiter that is yelling about the cockroach. Squash gets back to the room and he hears noises from the bedroom.
He hears King moaning.
So he bursts in, kicks the door down.
Off the hinges.
And he sees King and Victoria, but he assumes Victor in bed together. He is very shocked.
Yeah. And he leaves the room. He's like,
oh
sorry,
God, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. He leaves the room. King follows him to apologize. But then there's this great moment of Squash being like, you don't have anything to apologize for. I'm not upset. If a guy like you has the guts to admit he's gay, then so can I.
Team Squash!
He hugs King, and King's like, oh, this is not what I thought.
King goes back to the room, and he's like, I'm finding this trip to Paris more bizarre than I thought it would be. And they have this great conversation about how Victoria doesn't want to quit her job. Victoria likes her job. She likes being Victor. She likes how she's treated when she is perceived as a man. She has more freedoms that way. And she says to King, I wouldn't ask you to stop working in your gangster job. And he was like, well, no, that would be ridiculous. And she's like, then why would you ask me to give up my job? And he's like, well, that's different. She's like, right, but it shouldn't be. And it's just a great conversation, very calm, communicative, just about setting boundaries and what your needs and priorities are at the beginning of a relationship. I loved it.
We also learn that King is actually not a gangster. He's just a businessman who does business with gangsters.
And Victoria's like, that's a gangster.
She's like, why do you need a bodyguard? He was like, it's just like, I need it for the business. And she says the both of them are pretenders, and that's not a very good basis for a relationship.
Exactly.
We then see Victoria sneaking back into her hotel room and finding Toddy and Squash in bed
so
together.
Cute. I loved it. Cut to boxing?
It was a weird scene. King is punching a punching bag and Squash is there, and he's asking Squash when he knew he was gay. King then bumps into some French businessmen, and they're rude at each other, and
Fighting
King's
words.
just like being all aggressively
And
heterosexual,
American.
and he challenges the other guy, and surprise, the other guy's a boxing champion.
Cut back to the club.
Victor is performing the Shady Dame from Seville again. Squash is...
Wait. So... In the final note, Dame from Seville, it's that glass-shattering note. Now, the club owner from Chez Louis is there, and it shatters his glass, and he immediately remembers this woman who was able to do that auditioned for him a few months ago, and makes the connection. And so that's important because that comes back.
Yes. The quick scene in the dressing room doesn't matter much. It's just that we see King with a black eye, and he suggests that they try living together. The next scene has one of my favorite moments in it. We are in a dark, empty Chez Louis that's still just like fucking destroyed from the second brawl. Mr. Labisse is sitting there at his own bar drinking alone, and a man lets himself in, and he introduces himself as Charles Bovine, private investigator. Mr. Labisse has hired him, and he wants him to find out something, but he doesn't tell us what. But there's one moment where Mr. Bovine comes and sits next to Mr. Labisse at the bar, and Labisse says, careful, and Bovine's like, I'm always careful. And Labisse goes, that stool is broken. And the PI falls to the floor in that moment. I just disappears
so
from
funny.
view.
Well, so this private investigator is like a big reference to Inspector Clouseau from Pink Panther, because this
Very
director
influenced
also
and
did the Pink
inspired
Panther
by.
movies. So
very quickly we see Victoria and King in bed together, and they both agree that going forward they're going to take it a day at a time, but no secrets and no grudges. We cut next to the club. Victor is performing a new song, Crazy World, and it's a much different tone from the previous
Victor
songs.
isn't in drag. He's in his tux, still with like very intense eye makeup, but very much presenting himself as the man that he is.
And it's a sad kind of solo song, but the audience loves it. King is watching, King is there, and Victor tosses a flower to King, and King catches it, and there's a little bit of like audience tittering of like, ooh, and King seems uncomfortable with that
he's not entirely comfortable with that sort of public display. We cut to them doing basically what the other one loves and the other person not liking it.
Oh, really quickly, in the first scene, the first night that King and Victoria spend together, King does say he's worried that people will think he's gay.
And her response is, well, people will think that I'm a gay man. And he's like, it's different.
Yeah. So they both do things that neither wants to do in
Right,
this
so
next
they
scene.
go to a boxing match, and King is super into it, but Victor fully just, like, can't get into it and throws up. We go to the opera. Victor loves it, starts crying at the end of this aria, and King is just baffled and bored.
It's just a moment of like, oh gosh, they're so different. They don't
Yeah,
really
exactly.
work.
Cut to this private investigator.
Oh my god. We're back at the
Yes.
hotel. The private investigator exits from a window and climbs up an exterior ladder to land on the balcony of Victoria and King's room. I'm not sure whose room it was, but they're eating dinner together.
I think that they're in King's room.
Okay, that would make sense. They're kind of eating in silence. It's weird. The PI is watching from the window and gets struck by lightning.
It was so random and it's never brought up again. I didn't know what to do.
But Victoria tells King that she wants to go dancing
Yes, and so
with him.
cut to them dancing at a club. And King is obviously very uncomfortable. And as the camera pans out, it turns out that they are at a gay dance club. And so there's like some lovely, nice, like jazz swaying music going on. But the entire crowd is men dancing together. And Victor is just sort of melted into King, just really enjoying this dance. And King is incredibly uncomfortable.
They leave the club, and instead of leaving together, King has squashed drive Victoria back to the hotel and leaves King on the street. King later hails a taxi. We see him get out of the taxi when the taxi drives by a bar and he sees someone get thrown out. So he pays for his taxi and he's like intrigued by the aggressive masculinity of this joint. And he goes inside. It's a rough working class bar. He looks very out of place in his tux. He walks up to the bar and he orders milk.
And he does this on purpose.
Yeah, it's gotta be on purpose. He just wants to punch.
He just wants to get
wants
into
to
a
punch
fight.
people. The Frenchmen at the bar insult him, he insults them, and then just like another massive crowd brawl appears. Victor gets home to the hotel to Toddy and says, I guess I'm a bachelor again. And Victoria says she's very much in love and she doesn't know what to do. Back at the bar, King has
Everyone
somehow...
is beat to shit and drunk and singing. I loved
He's
it.
taught them a song, an American song, and then just at the last moment before we leave that bar, we see that the PI
Like
is at the
underneath,
bar.
like a guy has been sitting on him. It's
Oh,
so much.
God.
Next day, Squash and King go into the steam room, and King is feeling his hangover in his fight. Squash is a bad bodyguard because Sal and more goons walk in. So Sal, the partner from Chicago, walks into the steam room, and basically there's a confrontation with King.
We gotta talk.
We gotta talk.
Gangsters in the
Gangsters.
sauna. Very similar energy of like troll
Yes,
in the
very
dungeon.
much. We have a lot of energy in this movie. I don't know if listener you have noticed, but we have a lot of energy.
We loved this movie. We very briefly see Victor at a photo shoot looking very miserable. The photographer's like, could you give me a smile? And Victor tells the photographer to go suck an egg, which is a wild comment.
Cut back to the suite. Victoria comes in. She says she's very unhappy. Tonight will be her last performance as Victor, and tomorrow she will announce who she is. Turns out that closet that King was originally hiding in, the PI is hiding in there as well.
So the PI has overheard
Yes, so the PI now knows and has heard it from Victoria that she is masquerading as Victor.
Just then, Squash arrives and telling them that King was visited by his gangster business partners. They don't approve of his homosexuality. They all, Toddy, Victoria as Victor, and Squash all run out.
We cut to King's room. Sal is there and he is having King sign away his half of the ownership of the club. Norma is also there and is like being such a bitch and just like making comments that are just rude and unnecessary. She's shacked up with Sal now. Sal opens up a briefcase full of money and King is like, listen, my half is worth way more than that, but they are gangsters, so gotta do what they say.
Sal says, too bad. Just then, Squash, Victor, and Toddy arrive. Victor kisses King, and Sal makes a big show of like gagging, like being disgusted by two
And then
men.
one of my favorite moments happens.
Oh my god. Norma introduces Victor to Sal, and she's like, this is the guy that King is with. And Victor pushes Norma into one of the bedrooms.
And says, I have something to show you that'll change your life.
And the two goons from Chicago that came with Sal are like, hey, and they pull out their guns, and Squash pulls out his gun quickly, and he's like,
Freeze!
stop. And inside this room, okay.
Inside this room, Victor starts to undress. He takes off his suit jacket, takes off his suspenders, starts to loosen his tie. Norma is very confused and is backing up, just like, what? What? What is that? I don't, what? Until eventually, she's like, wait! Lock the door! And so obviously she has decided to just go with it. And then we cut back to the main living room, and we hear a scream. And Norma comes out saying,
Yeah, you two-timing son of a bitch! He's a woman! I love that Norma's so upset that she was cheated on. Cut to Can dancers at the club. And it is not Chez Louis, it's the other club. But we see a policeman and Labisse backstage, and then we see Andre running to Victor's dressing room, and he comes in and he says Labisse is on his way with the police, and he's claiming that Victor isn't a man.
It's unclear at this point if this is when Castle knows or if he's always known and he's just like, this is good money. But either way, Castle is on Victor and Toddy's side. The inspector and...
Labisse, there's like a random police officer, but then there's a private, the private investigator, a police investigator. Inspector Bernheim is his name. He comes with Labisse to the dressing room, and they're like, Andre doesn't let them in at first. Labisse says he knows all about Count Grzinski, that he's an imposter, and they will all, that Toddy, Andre Cassell, and Victoria, will all be arrested for perpetrating a public fraud.
Cassell looks very confused. He's like, listen, you're welcome to go in. And he lets the inspector in, but keeps Labisse out. And so we don't see what happens in the room, but the inspector comes back out and says, that person in there was naked from the waist down. If they are a woman, it is the best illusion I have ever seen.
Briefly, we saw King and Squash come to the club. They sat at their usual table. Just then, we cut back to the interior of the club, and we see Victoria as Victoria
in a dress
herself,
and makeup.
In a
Love that
great
dress. She comes out and goes and sits with King, and King is confused.
You know who's also confused? The waiter.
Yes.
The waiter sees her, just like, wait a second. King looks so confused, but Victoria puts a finger to her lips as the MC comes out on stage. The MC introduces the next act as Victoria, and it's Toddy, dressed in the shady dame from Seville
dress.
Goddamn
number I have ever seen. Oh my god. So basically, the whole thing that they've done is that whenever the inspector came in, they had gotten Toddy dressed up in the Dame of Seville outfit. And so the inspector mistook Toddy as the Count since he had never seen the performance before. And so, of course, Toddy then goes on to do the entire performance to sell it just in case the inspector is still there. And it is the funniest number I have ever seen in my goddamn life.
The audience loves it.
I loved it.
We didn't say this explicitly before, but in the number, the ensemble dancers have lifted Victoria up in the past. There's like
a couple of catches.
There's not an opportunity wasted. The dancers can't lift Toddy. He hips bumps them, and they all fall over like bowling pins. You can see the female dancers just cracking up behind it. Like, everyone's in on this, and everyone
the audience thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. There's one moment where, like, normally Victor is caught, but whenever Toddy goes, the male dancers are just like, nope, and just falls to the ground, and he looks up in the middle of the song and is like, you bitches.
He makes a lot of commentary, very similar to the song You and Me, when he and Victor were kind of bantering back and forth.
It's a perfect number.
The audience cheers, Toddy laughs, he gets a standing ovation. Our, like, long-suffering waiter sees all of this and, like, falls over a railing at one point, carrying a cake.
Justice for this waiter. He has done nothing wrong.
And Toddy receives a big bouquet at the end, and Victoria and King are, like, on their feet applauding. The whole audience is applauding. Toddy tosses one of the roses of his bouquet to Squash, and then he chucks the rest of the bouquet at one of the dancers, and it knocks him over.
And that's the end.
And then the credits roll. Grace, what did you think of this movie?
I loved this movie. Man, what a delight it was. The witty banter, just back and forth, the quick one-liners, just delightful. All around. The only squick moments I had were at the very beginning with the creepy hotel owner, but I think that was intentional squick.
Yeah.
What about
Didn't
you?
like that.
This was your first time seeing it.
It was my first time seeing it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done, and it could have handled the subject matter of women dressing as men and like gender being like a fluid concept. It could have handled that really poorly. And this is almost 50 years old. Nope.
40.
It's almost 40 years old if it came out in 82. Could it be updated to be more modern? Sure. But I think it held up very well
Agreed.
from 82.
I really agree.
Except for the gross hotel thing. Not necessary. Didn't need to happen. Was all for a joke about having sex for a meatball. Shall we do some
Yes,
dramaturgy?
we should.
Dramaturgy report. Victor Victoria was directed by William Blake Crump, better known by his stage name Blake Edwards, who was an American filmmaker. He began his career in the 1940s as an actor and soon began writing screenplays and radio scripts before turning to producing and directing in television and film. His best-known films include Breakfast at Tiffany's, Days of Wine and Roses, and Victor Victoria. He also directed 6 of the Pink Panther films starring Peter Sellers. And he's thought normally as a director of comedies, but he's directed many dramas, musicals, detective films. And late in his career, he transitioned to writing, producing, and directing for theater. Also, he was married to Julie Andrews until his death. They were married from 1969 until his death in 2010. And this is not the first time they had worked together. There's not a lot for this cinematographer. His name was Dick Bush. He was a British cinematographer with a 30-year career, including Ken Russell's Savage Messiah, the 1974 Mahler, 1975 Tommy, a 1979 film called Yanks, and several films with Blake Edwards. So no Soviet spies in this one.
The screenplay was also written by Blake Edwards. It was adapted from the 1933 German film Victor und Victoria, which was written and directed by Reinhold Schunzel. And that was from an original story by Hans Homburg. According to Edwards, this screenplay took only 1 month to write, so he found some inspiration and just ran with it. This movie was scored by Henry Mancini. Mancini is often cited as one of the greatest composers in the history of film. He's won 4 Academy Awards, a Golden Globe, and 20 Grammy Awards, plus a posthumous Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 1995. So his works include the music for the Pink Panther film series. He also did Breakfast at Tiffany's and the Peter Gunn television series. And one fun fact is the music from the Peter Gunn television series won the inaugural Grammy Award for Album of the Year. First one. Oh! Yeah. The lyrics were written by Leslie Bricusse. They were an English composer, lyricist, and playwright, most prominently working in musicals and also in theme music for cinema, so the themes that we always hear. He's best known for writing the lyrics for the films Dr. Dolittle, Goodbye, Mr. Chips, Scrooge, and Goldfinger. He also, with John Williams, wrote a theme for Superman, and also for Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, he wrote the songs Pure Imagination and The Candyman. I loved those songs growing up.
Oh, I just got chills. Before you leave music and lyrics, is this a movie musical or is this a movie with music?
I would count this
or is it a musical movie?
I would count this
that was
as
what we said,
a musical movie. Yeah. Because none of the songs happen outside of the context in which a song would happen in life.
Mm-hmm. And they don't necessarily move the plot forward.
They reference
songs performed within the context
some of them
the
reference
show.
Sort of character internal drama, but none of them are explicitly in terms of advancing the plot. So yeah, I would say definitely a movie with music or a musical movie. Now, the stage musical, this is one of the ones where the stage musical happened after the movie. Julie Andrews was the only cast member of the film to return for the musical. Robert Preston and Julie Andrews were meant to reprise their respective roles. Robert Preston was Toddy, but Preston ended up pulling out, saying there was no way the musical could be profitable. This is just a big ego trip for Blake, he said. Ouch. The musical opened on Broadway at the Marquis Theater on October 25th, 1995, and it closed on July 27th, 97, after 734 performances. It did okay.
it did
It
okay.
received one Tony nomination that was for Julie Andrews, but when she received this nomination, she actually rejected it, and she released the statement, "I have searched my conscience and my heart and find that I cannot accept this nomination." She further stated that she would stand instead with the egregiously overlooked cast and crew. It really hyped ticket sales for the musical, and she also declined to perform at the Tony Awards that year, which apparently that year had a lot of people who just didn't perform. Yeah, it was a big kerfluffle. The
Wow.
95 Tony Awards must have been wild. Not much for actors and casting. Julie Andrews, because she was partnered with the director at this point, I think was always planned that it was going to be her. It had originally been planned to have Peter Sellers star as Toddy, because Blake Edwards had worked with Peter Sellers several times before, but sadly he died in 1980 while they were filming something else, so Robert Preston was cast as Toddy instead. This is back to the mustache. There were rumors that Tom Selleck was under consideration to play King, but they were denied by Blake Edwards, who insisted that his only choice for the role was James Garner.
This got great reviews. It currently has a 97 on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics loved it. They thought it was funny, warm, and friendly. It's sharp, funny, and all-around entertaining. And it is on AFI's 100 Years, 100 Laughs at number 76. It was nominated for a whole bunch of awards when it came out. It was nominated for 7 Oscars, 5 Golden Globes, and the score was nominated for a Grammy. You talked about sequels and adaptations, so that takes us to Sangin'.
Well, it's Julie Andrews. She has a 4-octave range.
4 octaves.
God, she's so phenomenal.
There was fantastic dancing.
The male chorus of the nightclub was really lovely.
I wanted more. I wanted dancing in the streets.
Yeah, I wanted more over-the-top dancing.
Or just like dancing outside of the context of the nightclub.
That's fair.
I just wanted it to be a musical.
I wish that there was more music and that it had played a slightly bigger role. I remember it having more music than it actually did, and I think because the numbers were so big and full of life, and so they like really stuck in my memory, but there were less songs than I thought there would be.
Yeah. Do you have any moments of joy?
The entire final number. Which he did
That's fair.
all in one take. So
yeah,
he's like,
that's why he's so
so
sweaty.
out of breath at the end.
Oh, I think my moment of joy is the clue.
It's so silly.
Balancing.
Equilibrist.
I just thought there was such great non-verbal comedy in this, between farce and slapstick and just facial expression. It's really well edited.
Yes.
It's really edited funny.
Yes.
That's a poor way of saying that. It's really funny.
Because while you focused more on the physical comedy, I was just so obsessed with all of the witty back and forth one-line banter.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was phenomenal.
Oh, I loved that too. I just couldn't write it down as quickly because it was
This is
so
why it took
fast.
me 4 hours to get through this, because I kept pausing to write down several scenes.
My only gripe is that, I don't think the creepy hotel manager adds anything to the plot at the beginning other than, raising the stakes, and it's not necessary, and I wish it was cut. I don't need a sexual assault in the first 5 minutes.
They keep bringing back, you were willing to sell your virtue for a meatball, which is a funny callback, but it wasn't funny enough to make it worth it.
I agree. That's the only thing I would change.
Oh, another moment of joy is everything with the waiter. The waiter's entire arc.
Oh my god, justice for that waiter.
He was just doing his job.
Yeah.
Do you have any fun facts?
I do, and I thought you were going to steal it for a second when we were talking about the finale, but you didn't. I think it's really cool that the costume worn by Julie Andrews in the 2 iterations of the Shady Dame from Seville is the same costume that is worn by Robert Preston at the end of the movie. The costume was made to fit Preston, and then using a series of hooks and eyes in the back, it was tightened for whenever Julie Andrews was shooting it. And so you get to see the costume just be purposefully damaged by Preston in the finale, and it's in private collection right now. The rips and tears are still visible.
I had 2. One was Blake Edwards admitted that he chickened out with this movie.
Yes.
Where he added in the scene where King discovers that Victoria is a woman before he kisses her. That whole scene in the bathroom where he sees her undress and then get into the tub. Originally, King was supposed to fall in love with Victor before he was sure about their gender, which is why they had the line, "I don't care if you are a man," before he kisses her. Blake Edwards sort of admitted later that if he redid it, he may have taken that scene out and just sort of had it be a person falling in love with a person as opposed to having to confirm a gender before falling in love. Yeah, me too.
That.
The other one, final funny note, is about the cockroach. So the cockroaches that they used were in like a deep freeze coma, I guess, and they were placed where necessary for the scene and then heated with a hairdryer, and the crew could basically really only hope that they went in the right direction, and then no one knew where they went after filming was completed.
There was never any shaming.
No.
It's like you said, just like it was people loving people, and anyone that was like shaming whomever anybody loved was a bad guy.
They were the bad guys, yeah. And there were a lot of really good conversations and really like calm and detailed, discussed, clear conversations about who people were, why they've always been this way, or these are my priorities, I want to keep my job, this is important to me. It was just like such lovely, clear, and honest communication. Do you have any homework? Do you have anything that you want our listeners to look up?
I don't, other than like, I recommend watching this movie.
Our homework is to watch this movie.
I don't have any homework. My homework is watch the movie. Yeah.
So we'll post a link to this movie.
Yeah. That just about wraps us up. Thank you, dear listeners, so much for going on this journey with us. This has been the 1982 Victor Victoria, directed by Blake Edwards, starring Julie Andrews and Robert Preston. And this has been 5678, a movie musical podcast, starring us, Grace and Anna.
Starring, yes.
Thanks so much for listening. We are available everywhere podcasts are streamed. Just look up 5678, a movie musical podcast. We are on social media under the same handle: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
All
Check
the
it
things.
out.
Email us if you have gripes about French.
If you dare.
Our email is 5678, moviemusicalpodcast@gmail.com. And that's all she wrote.
And that's all she wrote. Goodbye.
5, 6, 7, 8.
There's no business like show business, like no business